Welcome to Headphone News, International Edition for Monday, December 2, 2024.
Ukrainian drone attack in Bryansk region. A recent drone attack from Ukraine in the Bryansk region of Russia resulted in the tragic death of an 11-year-old boy. The attack completely destroyed a residential building in the Starodubsky district. Russian officials reported that their air defenses shot down 29 Ukrainian drones, with 20 intercepted in Bryansk. This incident highlights the ongoing conflict between Ukraine and Russia, which has increased since 2014. The Bryansk region, located near the Ukrainian border, has become a hotspot for military actions. Concerns about civilian safety are rising, along with fears of further military responses from Russia. As tensions continue to escalate, the effects on local communities remain significant, illustrating the complexities of this conflict and its impact on international relations.
Trump nominates Kash Patel as FBI director. President-elect Donald Trump has made a surprising nomination, choosing Kash Patel as the new director of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, or FBI. At 44 years old, Patel is a lawyer and a strong supporter of Trump. However, his lack of experience in federal law enforcement has raised concerns among both Senate Republicans and Democratic lawmakers about whether he's qualified for the job. Patel has been very vocal in promoting claims of election fraud and conspiracy theories related to the FBI's work. His nomination goes against the usual practice of FBI directors serving 10-year terms, which is meant to keep the agency independent. Current FBI Director Christopher Wray is expected to finish his term in 2027. Observers are worried that Patel's appointment could have a big impact on the FBI's operations and public trust, possibly putting political loyalty ahead of merit in law enforcement across the United States.
Canadian banks gear up for fourth quarter earnings. Canadian banks are getting ready for their fourth quarter earnings reports, and there's a growing sense of investor confidence as concerns about mortgage defaults and a possible recession start to fade. The S&P/TSX Bank Index has climbed by 12% since last quarter, with Scotiabank and CIBC showing impressive gains of 19% and 17%, respectively. However, TD Bank is facing a major hurdle with a hefty $3 billion United States dollars fine due to issues with anti-money laundering regulations. Meanwhile, the Bank of Canada has cut its key interest rate by 1.25 percentage points to 3.75%, which is expected to reduce mortgage payments by 1.2% next year. Analysts emphasize that banks need to demonstrate earnings growth to justify their current high valuations. Despite these positive signs, the overall outlook for the Canadian economy remains cautious, with expectations that consumer lending growth will pick up again by mid-2025. This situation highlights the critical role of regulatory compliance and economic conditions in shaping the performance of banks.
UNRWA halts aid deliveries in Gaza amid violence. In recent news, the United Nations Relief and Works Agency, or UNRWA, has stopped aid deliveries to Gaza due to looting by armed gangs at the Kerem Shalom crossing. The situation in Gaza is dire, with recent Israeli military strikes causing at least 15 civilian deaths. Nearly 100 trucks were stolen in mid-November, making it even more challenging to deliver essential supplies to those in need. This worsening crisis raises serious concerns for Palestinian refugees. The international community, which includes countries and organizations that provide aid, is closely monitoring the situation, stressing the need for accountability and support for humanitarian efforts. Understanding the complicated issues in the Israeli-Palestinian conflict is crucial, as it directly impacts aid delivery and stability in the region.
Senegal remembers the Thiaroye massacre. On December 1, 2024, Senegal marked the 80th anniversary of the Thiaroye massacre, a tragic event where African soldiers were killed by French troops in 1944 while seeking fair treatment after serving in World War II. This somber commemoration took place in Thiaroye, a fishing village near Dakar, the capital of Senegal. Former French President François Hollande had previously increased the reported death toll from 35 to at least 70 during a visit in 2014. But historians believe that up to 400 soldiers may be buried in mass graves. Senegal has long sought acknowledgement and reparations from France for this historical injustice. Recently, French President Emmanuel Macron referred to the killings as a massacre in a letter to Senegalese President Bassirou Diomaye Faye. This event highlights ongoing tensions in the relationship between France and African nations, as many countries demand accountability for colonial-era atrocities. Recognizing these historical grievances is crucial for fostering better diplomatic relations and could lead to improved cooperation and understanding between France and its former colonies.
Political tensions in France over budget negotiations. In France, Prime Minister Michel Barnier is under pressure from National Rally lawmaker Marine Le Pen to reach budget concessions by Monday. If they can't come to an agreement, a no-confidence vote could put the government at risk. Recent talks have focused on raising pensions to match inflation and reversing cuts to medication reimbursements. Although Barnier has dropped a planned increase in electricity taxes, tensions remain high. The government is racing against time to avoid a budget crisis that could affect 17 million citizens, especially since rising tax thresholds may not keep up with inflation. Meanwhile, the extra cost of borrowing for the French government has hit a 12-year high, signaling growing market concerns. The National Rally, led by Le Pen, continues to challenge the government's budget strategy, stressing the need for significant reforms. Understanding these dynamics is crucial, as potential instability could have serious implications for economic policies and public services in France.
Republicans set to unveil major legislative agenda. In Washington, D.C., Republicans are gearing up to launch a significant legislative agenda early next year. They plan to focus on tax cuts, border funding, and reducing spending on clean energy. The proposed legislation aims to extend the Trump tax law and prevent $3.3 trillion in tax breaks from expiring at the end of 2025. GOP leaders intend to use a special process that allows them to pass the bill with a simple majority, sidestepping the need for Democratic votes. Currently, Republicans hold 53 seats in the Senate and expect a narrow majority of 220 to 215 in the House of Representatives. Key figures in this effort include House Majority Leader Steve Scalise and Senator Tom Tillis. However, these proposed measures could lead to increased deficits and primarily benefit wealthy individuals, raising concerns about potential public outcry. The outcome of this legislative push will significantly shape the political environment and economic strategies in the United States.
UBS capital requirements in Switzerland. In Switzerland, Finance Minister Karen Keller-Sutter has emphasized that UBS, a major Swiss bank, needs to balance its capital requirements to stay competitive while also protecting taxpayers. Estimates indicate that UBS may have to hold an extra $15 billion to $25 billion in capital due to new banking regulations that came after the collapse of Credit Suisse in 2023. These regulations, based on international banking rules known as Basel III, aim to strengthen the banking sector and prevent future financial crises. This discussion highlights the crucial balance between regulatory measures and the health of the financial sector, underscoring the importance of stability in Switzerland's financial system for both the economy and public trust.
Starmer's new plan for change in the UK. In a major announcement, Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer revealed a new government plan for change in the United Kingdom. This initiative aims to tackle urgent public service issues, with specific goals set to boost school readiness among 4- and 5-year-olds from 60% to 75%. The plan includes 5 specific objectives that focus on key areas like education reform and public services. This comes after the recent resignation of Transport Secretary Louise Hay due to a past fraud charge, raising concerns about government integrity. The political climate remains tense, with opposition leader Kemi Badenoch criticizing the Labour Party for not having a solid strategy. Starmer's new approach could improve accountability and help regain public trust in government actions, with more details expected to be shared on December 5, 2024.
Obama to present Merkel's book, Freedom. On December 2, 2024, former U.S. President Barack Obama will present Angela Merkel's new book, Freedom, at the Anthem Theater in Washington, D.C. This event showcases the strong political bond between Obama and Merkel, who were leaders during major world events from 2005 to 2021. Merkel's book, which spans 700 pages, shares her experiences in office and her thoughts on democracy and refugee policies. As international relations grow increasingly important, especially after the tensions of Donald Trump's presidency, this book launch symbolizes the continuing partnership between the U.S. and Germany, highlighting shared values and cooperation. Merkel's impactful leadership has significantly influenced European policies, making her memoir a fascinating read for anyone interested in global politics. This event not only marks an important moment for Merkel but also reminds us of the vital role strong diplomatic ties play in today's world.
G20 initiative to combat global poverty. At the recent G20 summit, a new initiative was launched with the ambitious goal of lifting 500 million people out of poverty by 2030. Brazil, currently leading the G20, introduced the Global Alliance Against Hunger and Poverty, which brings together 82 countries, the European Union, and the African Union. The Inter-American Development Bank has promised up to $25 billion to support programs aimed at reducing poverty and hunger. This initiative highlights the critical need for commitment from leaders to improve access to food and tackle climate change challenges. Brazil will hand over the G20 presidency to South Africa on December 1, 2024, while also preparing to host the next climate conference, COP30, in Belém, Brazil, in November 2025. The focus on climate funding may influence how countries allocate resources, potentially affecting traditional support for development projects. The collaboration among G20 nations underscores the urgent need to address global poverty and hunger in the context of climate change.
Supreme Court to hear case on transgender healthcare restrictions. The Supreme Court of the United States is about to hear an important case concerning a law in Tennessee that limits access to gender-affirming care for transgender youths. This case could have major effects on transgender healthcare access across the country. Experts in law are warning that the ruling may impact both minors and adults looking for transition-related services, raising significant concerns about discrimination based on sex. The outcome could set crucial precedents for future cases related to LGBTQ+ rights. Tennessee has become a central focus for various social issues, including healthcare access, and this ruling may shape public opinion and legislative actions regarding transgender rights. It's vital for individuals and healthcare providers to stay updated on the implications of this significant legal challenge.
Serbia's cooperation in Kosovo explosion investigation. Recently, Serbian President Aleksandar Vučić announced that Serbia will work together in the investigation of an explosion that occurred in Zubin Potok, Kosovo, on November 29, 2024. This explosion interrupted the water supply to Kosovo's coal-fired power plants, which are vital for energy production. The Kosovo government has accused Serbia of terrorism, a claim that Serbia has strongly denied. In connection with the incident, Kosovo police arrested 8 individuals. Tensions between Kosovo and Serbia have been ongoing since Kosovo declared independence in 2008, a move that Serbia does not recognize. NATO, which intervened during the Kosovo War in the late 1990s, continues to maintain peace in the region with about 4,000 troops stationed there. This incident raises serious concerns about energy stability in Kosovo and complicates both countries' hopes for European Union membership, as normalizing relations is crucial for progress. The explosion's impact on water supply and energy production highlights the fragile stability in the region.
Mali drone strike targets Tuareg rebels. On December 1, 2024, the government of Mali reported a drone strike that killed a senior Tuareg rebel commander, Fahad Ag al-Mahmoud, along with several other rebels in the town of Tinzawadin, which is in northern Mali near the border with Algeria. This strike happened amid rising tensions after a peace agreement collapsed in July 2024, aimed at resolving conflicts between the Malian government and Tuareg groups. The Tuareg, an ethnic group in northern Mali, have been seeking greater autonomy since they began their rebellion in 2012. This drone strike underscores the increasing violence in the region, which has seen many civilian casualties in recent months. The involvement of foreign groups, like the Russian Wagner Group, adds to the complexity of the situation. The ongoing conflict in Mali poses risks to stability in West Africa and could affect neighboring countries. The violence raises serious concerns about humanitarian conditions and the future of peace efforts in the area.
U.S. decision on nuclear weapons in Ukraine. In a recent announcement, U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan confirmed that the United States will not return nuclear weapons to Ukraine. This decision aligns with historical agreements, especially the Budapest Memorandum of 1994, where Ukraine gave up its nuclear arsenal in exchange for security guarantees from the U.S., Russia, and Britain. The U.S. is focused on preventing the spread of nuclear weapons and will instead provide conventional military support to help Ukraine defend itself against Russian aggression. This statement comes amid ongoing conflicts following Russia's invasion of Ukraine in 2022. The implications of this decision could have a significant impact on Ukraine's security and its dependence on U.S. military aid, while also affecting U.S.-Russia relations. Understanding this context is essential for grasping the complexities of international security in Eastern Europe.
Challenges facing Bethlehem this Christmas. This Christmas season, Bethlehem, located in the West Bank, is experiencing significant challenges. Many local Christian families are leaving due to ongoing financial struggles and violence related to the Gaza conflict. Manger Square, once bustling with tourists, is now mostly empty, highlighting a sharp decline in visitors. In 2017, Bethlehem's population was around 215,514, with only about 23,000 Christians, making up roughly 10% of the community. This decline has persisted for generations. Since the Gaza conflict escalated in October 2023, fears and instability have increased among residents, many of whom are seeking better opportunities abroad. The situation is further complicated by the Israeli occupation and the expansion of settlements, with over 120,000 firearms distributed to Israeli settlers for self-defense. The economic decline and lack of safety in Bethlehem underscore the urgent need for support and stability in the region.
Biden's policies at risk with Trump's return. In this episode, we explore the potential risks to President Joe Biden's executive actions on immigration, student loans, and LGBTQ rights, especially with Donald Trump back in the presidency. Biden's administration has worked hard to promote social equity and support marginalized communities through these initiatives. However, with Trump returning to office, there are growing concerns that these policies might be reversed. Such changes could have a significant impact on millions of Americans, particularly those who rely on student loan forgiveness and protections for LGBTQ individuals. As we navigate this tense political landscape during the transition period, it's clear that these executive actions play a crucial role in shaping the future of U.S. policy.
Global treaty negotiations on plastic pollution fail. In a recent meeting in Busan, South Korea, countries working on a global treaty to tackle plastic pollution could not reach an agreement. Over 100 nations supported a cap on plastic production, but a few oil-producing countries, especially Saudi Arabia, opposed this move. The goal was to finalize a legally binding treaty, but disagreements led to a delay in negotiations. Environmental groups are worried about the future of plastic production, which is expected to triple by 2050. The outcome of these discussions is vital, as ongoing plastic pollution poses serious risks to global health and the environment. The inability to agree may increase pressure on governments and corporations to adopt sustainable practices, making it crucial to understand the implications of these negotiations for ecosystems, human health, and economic policies around the world.
Yaalon accuses Israel of war crimes in Gaza conflict. Former Israeli Defense Minister Moshe Yaalon has made serious accusations against the Israeli government, claiming they are committing war crimes and ethnic cleansing in the ongoing Gaza conflict. He pointed to the extreme views of some members of Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's cabinet, suggesting they are trying to displace Palestinians from northern Gaza and re-establish Jewish settlements. Since violence erupted in October 2023, over 44,400 Palestinians are reported to have died, following a surprise attack by Hamas militants that killed around 1,200 people and led to the abduction of more than 250 hostages. Yaalon's remarks have stirred controversy, with the current government dismissing his claims as unfounded. The International Criminal Court has issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu and former Defense Chief Yoav Gallant over alleged war crimes. The situation in Gaza is critical, with nearly the entire population displaced and ongoing military operations targeting Hamas fighters. These accusations could lead to increased scrutiny of Israel's military actions and impact international relations, especially regarding peace negotiations and humanitarian efforts in the region.
Montreal nonprofit expands access to abortion pills amid U.S. concerns. Women on Web, a nonprofit based in Montreal, Canada, has helped over 100,000 people access abortion pills in 200 countries. After the recent U.S. presidential election, requests for these services jumped from about 35 to 150 each day, showing rising worries about reproductive rights in the United States. In Canada, abortion remains legal, and around 1 in 3 women will have one during their lifetime. The increase in demand for abortion pills highlights how political changes can impact healthcare access. The organization offers online consultations, evaluates individual needs, and helps with prescription filling and delivery. Understanding these issues is essential for both individuals and policymakers as they navigate the changing world of reproductive healthcare.
Norway suspends deep-sea mining plans. Norway's government has decided to put its deep-sea mining plans on hold due to environmental concerns raised by the Socialist Left Party, known as SV. This decision, made on December 1, 2024, was part of an agreement to secure budget support from the SV. Initially, Norway planned to issue exploration permits in the Arctic region in 2025. Environmental groups, including Greenpeace, have voiced their worries about the potential impact of mining on marine ecosystems. Kirsti Bergstø, the leader of the SV party, highlighted how important this decision is for protecting the environment. Known for its oil and gas resources, Norway is trying to balance economic interests with environmental sustainability. This suspension reflects a growing awareness around the world of the risks tied to resource extraction. With elections coming up in September 2025, the debate over deep-sea mining continues to evolve, influenced by public opinion and international relations.
Trump's warning to BRICS nations and economic implications. Recently, U.S. President-elect Donald Trump issued a strong warning to the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. He cautioned them against creating a new currency that could challenge the U.S. dollar's dominance. Trump threatened to impose 100% tariffs on these countries if they move forward with such plans. This warning comes after the U.S. dollar faced its largest weekly decline since mid-August, breaking an 8-week winning streak. The dollar's drop is largely due to its weakness against the euro and the Japanese yen. Recent economic data shows that new home prices in China rose by 2.40% year-on-year in November, while inflation in Indonesia fell to 1.50%, the lowest since June 2021. Trump's proposed tariffs could lead to higher costs for consumers and businesses, potentially slowing economic growth. If BRICS nations introduce a new currency, it could undermine the U.S. dollar's status as the world's reserve currency, impacting global trade dynamics. Understanding these developments is crucial for grasping their potential effects on economies worldwide.
Stellantis CEO resigns amid sales challenges. On December 1, 2024, Carlos Tavares stepped down as the CEO of Stellantis, a major automotive company based in the Netherlands and the United States. His resignation came after a profit warning 2 months earlier, predicting a cash burn of €10 billion, which is about $10.6 billion United States dollars, due to falling sales and a lot of unsold cars in North America. Stellantis, known for popular brands like Jeep and Ram, has seen its stock value drop by 40% this year. The company is now looking for a new CEO in the first half of 2025, as tensions among shareholders have increased, with U.S. sales down by 17% compared to last year. This leadership change could lead to new plans aimed at recovery, and investors are closely watching how this transition will impact Stellantis' future.
Bangladesh renegotiates power deal with Adani Group. Bangladesh is seeking to change its power purchase agreement with India's Adani Group due to concerns about high prices and serious claims of bribery. This deal involves a $2 billion coal-fired power plant in Jharkhand, India, with a capacity of 1,600 megawatts. In the fiscal year 2022-23, Adani charged 14.02 Bangladeshi taka per unit, which is about 13 cents. In comparison, the average power price in Bangladesh is 8 Bangladeshi takas and 77 paise, or roughly 8 cents. Allegations have emerged regarding a $265 million bribery scheme, leading to a court investigation. The Bangladeshi government has reported an annual power subsidy bill of 320 billion Bangladeshi takas, around $2.89 billion, due to rising energy costs. This investigation could result in significant changes to the contract, impacting energy prices and foreign investment in Bangladesh, while also affecting the reputation of Adani Group and the energy security of the country.
EU boosts electricity exports to Ukraine during energy crisis. The European Union is stepping up its efforts by increasing electricity exports to Ukraine to help tackle the energy crisis caused by ongoing Russian attacks on Ukrainian infrastructure. As Ukraine faces significant challenges this winter, many citizens are in desperate need of reliable energy sources. The EU's initiative aims to support Ukraine's energy needs by facilitating electricity exports from its member states. This move is part of broader efforts to assist Ukraine amid the ongoing conflict that began with Russia's annexation of Crimea in 2014 and escalated with the full-scale invasion in 2022. With more electricity on the way, living conditions for the Ukrainian population are expected to improve during the harsh winter months. This support from the EU underscores its commitment to Ukraine's sovereignty and energy independence, which could also impact diplomatic relations with Russia.
The urgent need for global cooperation in space traffic management. Today, we're discussing the pressing need for global cooperation in managing space traffic. With over 14,000 satellites currently orbiting Earth, about 3,500 of which are inactive, and roughly 120 million pieces of space debris, the risks are significant. A recent United Nations panel highlighted the importance of international collaboration to address this growing congestion. Experts estimate that potential financial dangers from satellite collisions could reach $556 million over the next 5 years, with an annual collision probability of 3.13%. The situation is made even more challenging by the launch of thousands of new satellites, especially from companies like SpaceX, which runs the Starlink satellite internet service. As of November 27, 2024, Starlink has deployed 6,764 satellites and carried out nearly 50,000 actions to avoid collisions in just the first half of 2024. The European Space Agency has reported a 3 to 4 times increase in the frequency of maneuvers for its spacecraft. There's a critical need for a shared database and an international framework to track space objects, which is essential to prevent costly disruptions to global communication and navigation systems. It's vital that nations and private companies work together to ensure the safety and sustainability of our operations in space.
Syrian insurgents take control of Aleppo. In a major turn of events in the Syrian civil war, thousands of Syrian insurgents have captured Aleppo, the largest city in Syria. This shift in power has faced little resistance from government forces, raising concerns about the readiness of President Bashar al-Assad's military. The fighting has also spread into the nearby province of Hama, reminiscent of the intense battles back in 2016. Recent reports say that about 20 fighters were killed in airstrikes aimed at insurgent reinforcements. The ongoing conflict has forced nearly 3,000 people, mostly students, to flee to the Kurdish-led administration in eastern Syria. This renewed violence has drawn in foreign powers, with Turkey backing opposition groups and Russia supporting the Assad regime. As the violence escalates, the humanitarian crisis in Aleppo worsens, impacting civilians and increasing the demand for aid. The consequences of this renewed conflict could lead to lasting instability in Syria and affect international relations in the region.
Biden's expected pardon for Hunter Biden. President Joe Biden is set to announce a pardon for his son, Hunter Biden, just before his sentencing for federal gun charges and tax evasion. This marks a significant shift from Biden's earlier position against using executive power for pardons. Hunter is facing up to 42 years in prison for multiple convictions, and the pardon aims to keep him out of jail. This situation sheds light on the complicated relationship between family, politics, and public perception. Legal experts indicate that presidential pardons can greatly influence public trust in the court system, which could have political consequences for Joe Biden as he nears the end of his term. The ongoing scrutiny of Hunter Biden's past business activities adds another layer of complexity to this unfolding story.
White House hosts AIDS Memorial Quilt on World AIDS Day. On December 1, 2024, the White House in Washington, D.C., hosted the AIDS Memorial Quilt for the very first time, coinciding with World AIDS Day. U.S. President Joe Biden and First Lady Jill Biden paid tribute to survivors and families impacted by AIDS during this important event. The AIDS Memorial Quilt, created in 1987, stands as a powerful symbol of remembrance for over 42 million people who have lost their lives to AIDS-related illnesses since the epidemic began. The Bidens, along with Jean White Ginder, an advocate and mother of a young AIDS victim, emphasize the significance of remembrance and advocacy in the ongoing fight against AIDS. This gathering at the White House marks a crucial moment in acknowledging the impact of AIDS on American society and inspires a collective commitment to combat the disease.
Saudi Crown Prince's visit to the UAE. On December 1, 2024, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman made a significant visit to the United Arab Emirates, his first trip there in 3 years. This visit comes just days before the important OPEC Plus meeting on December 5, where key oil policies will be discussed. One major topic is an increase in oil production for the UAE, which was agreed upon earlier this year and is set to start in January 2025. Both Saudi Arabia and the UAE are major oil producers in the Gulf region, known for strong partnerships but also some economic rivalry. The decisions made at this upcoming OPEC Plus meeting could greatly influence global oil prices and the economic stability of the region. Understanding these dynamics is crucial to grasping the significance of this diplomatic visit. That is all the news for today. Thank you for listening to today's Headphone News. News summary brought to you by AI.